What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal SpazPhoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here again with road signs. But not only road signs, this is going to be one half of a collaboration that I am doing with Dalyxman. So please, everybody, the link is going to be down in the description box below. Please stop beeping me. For Dalyxman, he and I are going to do sort of a half and half thing as far as the cards so far for Wrestlemania. I'm going to be doing in this video is looking at specifically the 4 main events at Wrestlemania, what other people think of it versus why I'm looking forward to them, and Alex Dalyxman sometime later on this week is going to do, I'm sure, a great job of speculating the mid-card of Wrestlemania, because that really hasn't been established yet. Anybody that isn't already subscribed to Dalyxman, pull your head out of your ass and go subscribe to the man. His link's going to be in the description box below, and I'm sure that he will give everybody else in the YWC something to follow, as Dolph Ziggler would say, as he always does. Now, as far as the main event, as far as my half of this collaboration, also go check out Wrestling Paradise, the YouTube, is it still called a podcast if it's done on YouTube? The podcast that he and Preston do, the link for that will also be in the description box below. You get some stuff from the two of them, plus some individual stuff from Preston. A lot of good stuff to check out from those guys. But moving on to my point, my portion of this, the upper card of WrestleMania. Now, I understand wholeheartedly, this isn't me doing what I usually do and saying, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? WrestleMania is awesome. Wrestling's awesome right now. Nothing's wrong with anything. You guys are all just haters. Da-da-da-da-da. This isn't one of those videos. I understand wholeheartedly the problems that people have with all 4 of the main event matches at WrestleMania. My point in doing this video is to say calmly and in a very, very respectful way, I see why people aren't excited about these matches. I want to share with you why I am, if that's fair. A lot of what people are saying about these 4 matches that we have coming up at WrestleMania is true, and if it's what you choose to focus on, then I absolutely understand why you're not excited about them. I'm just giving you a different way of looking at it, a different spyglass, a different looking glass to look at the overall picture through, and if you choose to adopt my frame of mind and it helps you get a little bit more of a positive outlook going forward towards WrestleMania, then fantastic. I am absolutely not trying to force my opinions on anybody. They are just that, my opinions. Swagger versus Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I said what most people said, you know, Swagger hasn't been around in a while, he was boring then, what makes me think I should give a shit now? Now, character-wise, and as far as him being a superstar, that hasn't really changed very much. What has changed is the fantastic mouthpiece that they've given him in Zeb Coulter. Zeb Coulter has been a lightning rod for controversy the minute he stepped into the ring. They've picked something for a new manager character and for Jack Swagger, who isn't really a lightning rod of his own. They've picked a pretty easy angle to book around, but it's easy to book around because it is so elemental. It is so real. It's the most, in a sense, it's the most real rivalry in the WWE because it's based on something that is very, very real, and that is, you know, racism, nationalism, national pride, what's a good American, what is the real American, that sort of thing. Now, it's a theme that's been done 100 times before. Muhammad Hassan, the Iron Sheik, Sergeant Slaughter defecting, etc., etc., etc. But the way Zeb Coulter works on the mic, it means that Swagger doesn't have to be on the mic, which is one of his weaknesses, and we will be able to focus on his in-ring talent. And while I do not like the man, while I do not like Jack Swagger, while I do really and genuinely not give a fuck about him having a great mouthpiece and him not being on the microphone allows us to focus on his in-ring work, which, I mean, let's be honest, he is a great in-ring tactician. He just doesn't have any character whatsoever to grab our attention to make us realize that. I will give him all the credit in the world for the in-ring talent that he has. The in-ring talent that he has is fantastic, and he's been able to show it in a more aggressive fashion, which has been which has been really, really good, and he hasn't done, he hasn't been coming down doing the goofy American thing like he was doing before, the all-American, American, 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 American. No, he just says, I'm a real American, and I'm going to prove it, and I'm going to get rid of these fake Americans, and then he goes into the ring, and let's be honest, wrecks shop. Now, the other point about this is it solidifies. I am a big fan of Alberto Del Rio. When I figured out, when it became clear that they were giving him a face turn, I was excited because, you know what, he's got the talent. He's got the MMA background, he's got the mixed martial arts background, the, I think, jiu-jitsu background, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that one. If I am, somebody please contact me in the description box below and please make me aware of my error. But I believe his background is both in Mexican MMA and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, something along those lines. He's a fantastic talent. He's always been a fantastic talent. He plays a great character, and Ricardo Rodriguez is great for a little bit of comic relief, but also a bit of sympathy now that he's become a face. This kind of storyline has brought out genuine passion from his character, which is something we really, really needed. A lot of people were already behind Alberto Del Rio. I was behind Alberto Del Rio when he was in the heat, or when he was in the thick of his heel persona, and I was the one making the bold statement that he reminded me of Eddie Guerrero. Not to be mistaken for me saying, oh my god, this guy is the next Eddie Guerrero, but there's a lot of elements about Alberto Del Rio that remind me of Eddie, and I had no problem saying that. It's like when I say The Miz reminds me of Edge. I'm not going to back down from it, because that's what I honestly see. That's what I recognize when I watch these guys in the ring. And now he's gone on this face turn. He's having a lot of fun. You can tell in the ring that he likes being a face. He likes playing to the crowd. He likes, doing the more spectacular style of offense, a little more high-flying stuff, a little more of the fast-moving, crowd-pleasing wrestling style, and it allows Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez to interact with the fans in a way that they couldn't when he was a heel. Also, it brings, like, as I said before, it brings out all this passion from his character. This is the exact storyline we needed to get the last few people that didn't realize how great Alberto Del Rio was as an in-ring worker behind him as a character. So this is going to do great things. Now, granted, if they give Swagger the win here, they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. But this will be the perfect, like I say, very real problem, very real opponent for him to go after. Because let's be honest, he's been playing the Giant Slayer the past couple of months, and that story has been old. That story was old 20 years ago. That story was old 30 years ago. That story was old when Andre the Giant was around. Rest in peace, God rest his soul, and all that sort of thing. But the, David and Goliath, Giant Slayer type of story, yes, it's a classic in wrestling storytelling, but it gets old very quickly, and especially when you're beaten over the head with it months at a time. Now you've got a genuine, talented guy on the other side of the ring, and you have to admit that Jack Swagger's a great and talented guy because he's been destroying everybody, and every time he steps into the ring, it is fantastic ring work. So he's a legitimate person-on-person rivalry. And it just so happens that that person with that great talent has all these despicable, racist, prejudiced ideals motivating him to want that title. Jack Swagger, if you believe Zeb Coulter, is not getting the WWE World Heavyweight Championship to be a champion. He's doing it to basically whitewash America. And Alberto Del Rio sticking up for his people and all immigrants in general, trying to fight the whitewash, is a tremendous story being told. And really the rivalry is between Alberto Del Rio and Zeb Coulter, let's be honest. But when it gets down to the ring, when it gets down to the match, when that bell rings at WrestleMania, the match itself is going to be between Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger. And even though I don't like Jack Swagger, I don't give a shit about him as a character, as I've mentioned before, the ring work will pay off the story. The intensity of the ring work and the intensity of the storyline drama building up to it will meld in such a way that it will be something fantastic. And on that day, I will be entirely up for giving Jack Swagger the credit for holding up his end of the card. That's why I'm excited about that match. Rock versus Cena, and this is where even Alex told me to tread lightly because there are sharks on both sides of the pond on this one. Big fan of The Rock. Huge fan of The Rock. It's not going to change. It's probably, unless he does something absolutely horrible. I mean, if the buying a $50 car from a crackhead storyline didn't do it, I don't think anything will. But love The Rock. Always been a fan of The Rock. Fan of The Rock since The Nation, since he broke off from The Nation, since his rivalry with The Nation, his rivalries with Triple H that went right from the Intercontinental title to the WWE title, his rivalries with Ken Shamrock, if anybody believes those, his rivalries and teamwork with Mick Foley, his legendary, and I don't use that term lightly, but legendary feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I hated Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was a Shawn Michaels fan. I hated Stone Cold Steve Austin for most of my wrestling life when Steve Austin was in the ring. I was always behind The Rock because in the back of my head, being the Shawn Michaels mark, this was the guy that knocked off Shawn Michaels. This is the guy that took Shawn Michaels' place. Now, on the upswing, did I have to come around and realize the greatness that was Steve Austin? Absolutely. But for most of that, I was behind The Rock, and it was fun to be behind The Rock. And this is where I come to a great sort of mid-ground on this match, because I have to completely separate my heart from my mind. I can't stand Cena, guys. Go back. I went over my own, okay, here, bit of an ego on my part, but I was on a long bus ride today, and I listened through my own Cena-apocalypse videos from last year leading up to WrestleMania. And everything I said in those videos is still true. Everything I said is still true. John Cena still sucks. The people that say The Rock is only in it for the money are still morons. Ashton is still an idiot. Everything I said in those videos is still true. But I have to say that it makes sense for John Cena to win the WWE Championship. Having The Rock there is great. Putting the WWE Championship on him, not so much. You can't put the most prestigious belt in the company on a guy that's there once or twice a year. Much as I love to see it, much as I love that we have a new belt that should have been revealed by CM Punk, let's be honest, but much as I love having a new belt, much as I love having The Rock here with us, my heart and my mind have to go two separate directions. It only makes sense for John Cena to win the WWE Championship back. And for logic to prevail in this match, I'm going to be so conflicted. And I think my own conflict, if this makes any sense, guys, and if it doesn't, stay with me, because I hope it will by the end. My own conflict, my own inner conflict as a wrestling fan is what has me interested in this match. For logic to prevail in this match, I have to boo a guy that I've been a fan of for over 10 years and cheer the man that, yes, I still believe to this day, to this minute, at ridiculous o'clock in the morning, is the cancer that is slowly killing wrestling. I have to cheer him. I have to cheer John Cena and boo The Rock if logic is to prevail. Now, do I like it? No. Do I like it? Absolutely not. Should it have been a triple threat match? Absolutely. But going into this match, I talked about the new WWE Championship as a halfway victory. It wasn't exactly the greatest belt in the world, but it was halfway there. We wanted to get rid of the spinner and get a better belt. We got halfway there. We got rid of the spinner, and we will learn to love the belt that is there now. I truly believe that. Now, we come to the same apex again. We want to get the belt. We want to get the belt. We don't want to get rid of The Rock, but we want to get the belt off The Rock and put it on somebody that deserves it. Now, at WrestleMania, I believe in my heart and soul that John Cena is going to win the match, so we are going to get halfway there. We are going to get halfway there. We're going to get the belt off The Rock and onto somebody that's there all the time. Yes, I will give John Cena credit. He's there. He shows up to work. You know, just like the ring crew and the guys that run the lights and the guys that run the pyro show up to work. We've gotten the belt off the part-time guy and put it back on a full-time guy. From there, we can then decide what full-time guy actually deserves it. It'll probably be CM Punk, guys, let's be honest. I guarantee, and I've said it before in these videos, Cena's going to win the belt at WrestleMania, and within 2 or 3 months, the belt is going to be back around CM Punk. It can't not happen. That's what I'm saying. So why am I excited? I am excited to see what happens to myself as a wrestling fan when that conflict comes into play. When I have to boo, when logic dictates to me that I have to boo a guy that I've been cheering for 10 years and cheer for a guy that I would love to never see on my television again. That's an internal conflict. That's where I want to look at myself and see what happens at WrestleMania. The other half of it is, I know that logically it makes sense for John Cena to have the belt. In that moment, given those two options, The Rock and John Cena, I would love to see The Rock get the win, absolutely, but John Cena's the one that should go home with the belt. I can't say it enough. It breaks my heart to say that John Cena needs to win this match. It absolutely does. If you could take a picture of my insides, they're just liquefying and cringing, and just my insides are evacuating my outsides. My heart and my brain have gone two separate directions. But it has to be said, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say that it makes any sense at all for The Rock to be the champion. If they were going to do Rock Cena 2, first of all, breaking the whole once-in-a-lifetime thing, there's no reason The Rock needed to win the belt. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. But given the parameters that we have, I'm excited about Rock Cena for those reasons. To watch, I'm excited for the opportunity to watch myself as a wrestling fan, and I am excited because we are in the first step to putting the belt back onto somebody that deserves it. It's the best I can say. No matter what I say about Rock versus Cena, a lot of people are going to jump down my throat, so that's where I stand at the moment on that one. Punk versus Taker, and this is interesting because nothing is more scrutinized in wrestling these days as the choice of who gets to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Now, there's two reasons I don't mind it being Punk. Obviously, Punk was going to be on the wrestling card, and anything less than this or a title match would have been a waste of Punk's time, if I'm honest, unless they were going to do a Jericho-Punk rematch, or if they wanted to play up Miz versus Punk, which I hope they do later on in 2013. But this is the only hill really left for CM Punk to conquer, isn't it? He's been the World Heavyweight Champion. He's been the WWE Champion. He's been the main event. He has defended the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. The only thing left for him to conquer is being the next guy to try for the streak. Now, it wasn't built up very well. It wasn't, okay, Undertaker just showed up one day and we had a fatal four-way and there we go. Now, on paper, that doesn't sound like much of a build, unless you look at the fact that CM Punk saved this. CM Punk's reasoning for wanting the streak. CM Punk came out, he doesn't have anything against The Undertaker. He didn't say any shit about The Undertaker. I'm sure he will in the coming weeks, don't get me wrong. There's going to be pipe bombs dropping on The Undertaker like he's in the middle of Iraq somewhere. Whoop, whoop. Well, that wasn't very politically correct, was it? Don't give a fuck. But he's going to be dropping pipe bombs on The Undertaker all over the place. But when he came out to announce that he was going for The Undertaker streak, he didn't insult The Undertaker. His reasoning, he wanted revenge on the fans because the fans cost him the WWE Championship. Now, is that a fact? Absolutely not. He lost the WWE Championship because The Rock beat him twice. Did The Rock need to beat him twice? Did we need to bury him that much? No. Did we need to have him lose to John Cena on Raw? Absolutely not. But his reasoning, or in his own psychology, which is brilliant, he wants the streak because it will be his revenge on the fans, and the fans cost him the WWE Championship. How long did he hold that WWE Championship? 434 days, plus the 2 months that it's been since he's been the champion. So roughly a year and a quarter, year and a half. So that, technically, if you want to read into this the way I'm reading into it and the way CM Punk's set up the psychology of this match, he's been building towards this match with The Undertaker for a year and a half since the beginning of his 434-day title run, because it's the loss of that 334-day title run that has urged him to seek revenge on the fans, and seek revenge on the fans by taking what they covet so dearly. Oh yes, Undertaker's streak. He wants to be the one. He wants to be the 20-1. And that in itself, his own psychology is what's making this match, and his own psychology has been building since he picked up the WWE Championship that The Rock stole from him. Not only that, the mic work is going to be mint. They always pull out the stops for the creative shit leading up to Undertaker's match at WrestleMania. That, combined with the natural mic skills and psychology of CM Punk, is going to make this a blockbuster. It's going to be a sleeper match of the night. This will be, for the true... And I hate getting into what makes somebody a good wrestling fan, but the true wrestling historian, the true wrestling fan at its most base level, whatever, has to consider this the main event. It's not the money match. It's not the title match. It's not the most hardcore match. It's not the most this. It doesn't have the most glitz or the most glamour, at least not yet. It won't be the last match of the night. But I will say it, as the true wrestling fan in me sees this as the main event of the night. Much the same as Triple H versus Undertaker in Hell in a Cell last year was the unofficial main event, much like CM Punk versus Chris Jericho could have been considered the unsung main event of WrestleMania. And here's the other thing I'm going to touch on really, really quickly because it's only a minor point. Everybody's bitching that Undertaker has another... Well, not everybody, but people that like to look for a reason to bitch are bitching that Undertaker has a match after the match that was called the End of the Era. The End of the Era, let's be honest, was the end of the Attitude Era. I mean, you had Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Undertaker. Undertaker's still around, but he's not fighting anybody from that era anymore. He's fighting the true face of the current era, CM Punk. He's crossing over, he's gone from the pre-Attitude Era to the post-Attitude Era to the Ruthless Aggression Era into the PG Era, which leads me to believe that one day the guy to get that shot is going to be Cena, but let's thank our lucky wrestling gods and stars that it's not this year at least. And we've got CM Punk, the true wrestling face of wrestling in 2013, gets the only, like I say, the only hurdle he hasn't jumped, the only mountain he hasn't climbed yet in the streak. The streak which has become more mythical and immortal, if I can be that corny, in wrestling than any title, than any accomplishment, than the Royal Rumble, than King of the Ring, than anything. And it's one of the most drawing matches, and he's going to lose. Taker can never lose the streak. So it's very rare that you can get behind somebody so much like a CM Punk and be so happy for him, as I am, in a match that he's going to lose. He's going to lose. It's the streak. Why are you beeping me? Just saying. I'm trying to do... Really? Really, 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 really. Okay. I popular, clearly. But, I mean... It's a statement on everything CM Punk has done in his WWE career, that people are chomping at the bit for him to get the title wrapped around his waist, and that the Undertaker's an attempt at the Undertaker's streak is considered a consolation prize because we know so much that he deserves to have that WWE title. He's going to take this, he's going to make the most of it. Undertaker's a ring general. He can make the broomstick look good, and he doesn't need to because CM Punk ain't no fucking broomstick. This is going to be a fantastic match. They don't need a gimmick. They don't need Hell in the Cell. They don't need it to be a casket match, buried alive match, stretcher match, last ride. They don't need any of that. You get a ring general in there like The Undertaker. You got a guy that's fresh and his hand is more open than it's ever been in his entire career for that torch. You can't not be excited. I'm sorry, I'm not telling people how to feel, but in my own personal opinion, you can't not be excited about this match. You just can't. It's... The marquee sells the match. Undertaker versus CM Punk at WrestleMania. You don't need to say anything else. And I'm not going to say anything else, because I'm done. Last one is Triple H versus Lesnar. Last one is Triple H versus Lesnar, which makes a hell of a lot of sense. Lesnar's part-time, Triple H is part-time. Now, if you had them going up against anybody else, like a Ziggler, like a Miz, like a whoever, and they're not going to have those guys against these guys anyway. But, I mean, it would be taking somebody in the current roster, pulling them out of whatever storyline they're in to have a rivalry with somebody that's only there part-time. So it makes more sense Triple H versus Brock Lesnar because they're not disturbing anything else. You know what I mean? They're not interrupting anybody else's flow of anything. It's just something else that's going to bring eyes to WrestleMania. And let's be honest, those of you that like to talk about the business aspect of it and and like to be accountants or, financial advisors or whatever, are going to say that Brock Lesnar brings the MMA audience over, like The Rock brings the movie-watching audience over, like Chris Jericho could very well be bringing a lot of rock concert eyes over to WrestleMania when they give him a match. So he does that. Triple H is Hall of Fame bound. Like, we will know that he's officially actually retired when they put him in the Hall of Fame. It's going to happen. It's a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if, but when and where he's going into the Hall of Fame. It's going to happen. Now, they had their match at SummerSlam. The Perfect Storm. The really, really lame name for a match that really didn't mean anything. And they tried to book it like an MMA fight. They tried to book it like it was a real fight. And because of that, I think the match suffered a lot. And on top of that, because they made it out to be, you know, sort of a shoot fight, sort of an MMA style fight, and it was sort of in Lesnar's arena, led to, obviously, Lesnar winning the match. So, Triple H needs redemption for losing at SummerSlam and disappointing the fans, letting the company down, etc., 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 because Brock Lesnar was attacking everybody and wreaking havoc in the company that is going to belong to Triple H one day. Now, not only that, Brock Lesnar has injured several members of the roster of the company that's eventually going to be his one day. He's broken his arm twice. Kayfabe, obviously, but broken his arm twice, beaten the crap out of his best friend Shawn Michaels. I mean, every time Shawn Michaels comes back now, it's to get his ass kicked to build up a Triple H story. But, I mean, he beat up his best friend, ran his best friend's head through a car windshield, or car side window, whatever. He's put Triple H's father-in-law in the hospital with a new hip replacement or whatever. His company has run rampant. He's managed by the same guy that managed CM Punk, and CM Punk has also wreaked havoc on the company that's eventually going to be his. Not only that, I'm pretty sure way back in his heyday, didn't Brock Lesnar put Shane McMahon on the shelf for a while, or am I just imagining that? Also, Heyman, speaking on behalf of Brock Lesnar leading up into SummerSlam, ran his mouth on Triple H, ran his mouth on Stephanie. I mean, let's be honest, who's going to fuck with Stephanie out there? Ran his mouth about Triple H's kids. There's so much in this, and it's one of the, even though they're all part-time guys, Triple H and Lesnar have a storyline that's been existing for a good 6-8 months, maybe more. You know, it's like The Rock and Cena. The Rock and Cena hasn't been built well at all. The storyline has been shit. The storyline has been cut and paste at best, but the Rock and Cena story has been building for over 2.5 years, since before WrestleMania 27, and we're going into WrestleMania 29. Those of you out there that complain about build, that's 2.5 years of build. It might not be the greatest build in the world, but it is build. And these guys coming down, Brock Lesnar is an imposing force. Brock Lesnar is an imposing force, and just his presence creates an atmosphere of tension and intensity. And Triple H is one of the guys, he's one of the only guys existing on the WWE roster, be him part-time or full-time. He's one of the few guys left in the company that brings that element, that aura, that essence with him, that as soon as he walks into an arena, shit just got real. And yes, that's all kayfabe. It's all garbage. It's all storytelling. But as far as creating a moment, as far as creating, oh shit, this guy's here, shit just got fucking real, Triple H has that. And if they get away from all this copying the MMA, you know, the spotlights and them being announced like boxers almost and all that tacky, campy, cliche crap, and let these guys have a proper brawl. And it can't be a normal match, because they've already done that, kind of, and Triple H got his arm broken twice. But if they let these guys have a proper brawl, this brawl between two part-time guys that half the YWC claim to not give a fuck about anymore, could be one of the biggest draws on the card. You can't deny it. These guys are two of the most imposing forms in wrestling. We have the potential, and this really makes me roll my eyes, we have the potential of seeing Mark Henry versus wow, I almost said Goldberg, Ryback, and this is supposed to be the big battle of the monsters. You better not be trying to book that as a battle of monsters on the same card that has Brock Lesnar versus Triple fucking H. You can't, like, on Raw, on the free show, in the brawl, just to lead up to this match, Brock Lesnar ended up with 16 staples or 18 staples in his head. This will only get better. This, combined with Triple H, again, as I said about The Undertaker, ring general, he can cover up any flaws that Lesnar has. Lesnar has flaws, we can be honest about that. Put him in with somebody like Triple H, they are going to be minimized. It's going to be pumped up by the fact that he's backed up by Vince McMahon, who's an awesome character in his own right. It's going to be pumped up because it's going to have Paul Heyman behind that, and that just makes everything better, doesn't it? Paul Heyman could completely step away from CM Punk and let CM Punk and Undertaker handle themselves and just focus on this. It would be gold. You put Heyman in one corner, you put Vince in the other corner. The history between those two sells itself. Triple H, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's been a backer of Paul Heyman for years. So you gotta figure, kayfabe-wise, Paul Heyman has been brainwashing Brock Lesnar against Vince McMahon, the McMahon family, anybody associated with the McMahon family, and anybody associated with the WWE for what? 10 years, the couple of years that he was there to begin with, all the years that he was in MMA and then brought back, and the couple of years that he's been back now. Brock Lesnar is a brainwashed chunk of aggression that has been brainwashed by Paul Heyman, the same Kool-Aid serving guy that brainwashed an entire generation into thinking ECW was the greatest thing on television, is now firmly in the mind of Brock Lesnar, who's already a beast, going for Triple H, who is a fucking monster. No, he doesn't wrestle 24/7. No, he doesn't wrestle 12 months a year, 28 days a month, and all that sort of thing. But Triple H, you put him in the ring. You put him in the ring for a couple minutes on Raw last week, and you see that he can still go, he can still draw a reaction, and he can still ramp up the intensity more than anybody that exists on the current roster. And yes, I said anybody. Unequivocally, without exception. I'm sorry, CM Punk is fucking amazing, but he's not there. Orton, I think, is still amazing, but he's not there. Ryback? Please. Please. Mark Henry? Please. Please. Triple H can do it. Brock Lesnar can do it. You know, these guys, you know, they make the complaint, and I've made the complaint too, that, you know, these guys coming back part-time are taking away WrestleMania spots from the guys that have been busting their ass all year, and that is a valid point. But nobody in the WWE roster currently, especially the younger guys, mostly because they haven't been given the opportunity to, they can't bring the element that a Triple H brings, that an Undertaker brings, that a Chris Jericho brings, that a Brock Lesnar brings. They can't do it, and it's not their fault. But you know what? If Triple H can do it, you need him to do it on the main stage. Triple H, Brock Lesnar is going to be a brawl that could tear the house down. CM Punk versus The Undertaker is a match we've been waiting for years. The pure wrestling match is going to be a match with Jack Swagger in it, and a year ago, if you had told me that, I would have laughed you out of the building. But, I mean, you got the great, you know, the fundamental wrestling ability of a Jack Swagger and the mixed martial arts semi-lucha style of Alberto Del Rio. Sorry, I can speak, I swear. And that is going to be a fantastic in-ring event. You got John Cena versus The Rock, and that's the one that everybody walks on pins and needles on. And you know what? I'm doing the same thing. As I've admitted multiple times throughout this video, I will be watching myself more than I will be watching the two guys in the ring. But ultimately, whether you love it, whether you hate it, it's a match that needs to happen, and that need is part of the excitement going into the match. Anyways, I'm going to catch my breath, and I'm going to do one of these. I'm not ranting, I'm not raving, I'm not trying to bash anybody, I'm not trying to shit on anybody. I'm really, really not, in this video anyway. I've done it before. This video is really, really meant to reach out to people that are in their doldrums, people that are, you know, they're giving up. They're thinking about going to UFC instead. They're thinking about watching hockey or soccer or something like that instead, because wrestling and WWE in particular doesn't have anything to offer anymore. Please, for a couple of minutes, listen to my voice, change the way you look. Only for a moment. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm trying to get you guys to see that there are a lot of reasons to get excited about this year's WrestleMania. We don't even have the undercard yet. I'm not touching that in this video. That's going to be left to Alex. Guys, please, I say it again. Go check out Dalyxman's channel. Go check out Alex and Preston's Wrestling Paradise channel. Both those links are going to be in the description box below. They're going to speculate as to what the mid-card could be. Because right now, I'm excited about WrestleMania based on 4 matches, but WrestleMania is usually about 10 matches, isn't it? And I mean, if even 8 of those 10 can excite me as much as what these 4 that we already have announced are going to excite me, then it's going to be a hell of a show. Don't get hung up on the little things. Don't get hung up on the things. I could be angry about this. I could be angry at this. Look at the good. Look at the stories. There's lots of good stories telling there. There's blood feuds, there's family feuds, there's public issues feuds, there's racism, there's a lot of good things that if you reach into the stories of the WWE right now and pull your hands out, there's a lot of muck to hold on to and a lot of muck that people are carrying in handful by handful by handful into WrestleMania. It's something to be excited about. It's something you can get deeply, deeply invested in if you choose to. Please, I'm asking all of you guys in the YWC, no, not everything is perfect. Yes, there are a lot of things that have happened wrong on our way to get to this point, but there's a lot of things that are going right too. Please just, my lights are going out. Please just give it a second look. Please listen to some of the things that I've said. Even if you don't agree with me, consider some of the things that I've said. That's all I'm asking. I think I'm done. You know, as usual, it's ridiculous o'clock in the morning, so you got a long ramble and a rant from me. That's it. Check out Dalyxman's response to this. He's going to be telling you what could and may and possibly be part of the mid-card of this year's WrestleMania. But until then, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Tell me what you think of the top half of the WrestleMania 29 card. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every single last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out, guys. Later.
You're a freak.